It's such a privilege to be able to talk with you today. I remember writing this goal down 5 years ago. It was a goal I never thought I'd achieve, although I used to wonder if I ever did get the chance to talk, what was I going to talk about? And along the way, my story found me, although I almost wasn't alive to tell it. Statistically, every single one of you listening to this has either been through something traumatic or is going through something traumatic. In fact, you probably had that first traumatic event by the time you were just 3 years old. My greatest trauma came from being an opioid addict. And along the way, I almost became another statistic. Every 40 seconds, someone commits suicide. And I'll never forget my 40 seconds. I sat at the top of my basement steps. I loaded a 20 gauge shotgun. I put a cold, hard metal barrel in my mouth. I wrapped my teeth around it. I can promise you that there's no feeling in the world quite like having a gun in your mouth. Although something happened that day. And it wasn't that I got a miraculous desire to live. And it wasn't that the gun jammed. It was that I understood trauma. And I understood what this would do to my mother. And having been through something traumatic, I knew that there was no way that I'd be okay to put that on someone else. The thing about trauma is that it's simply the worst pain that someone's ever experienced. And that's why I can compare being an addict to losing a loved one, to a nasty breakup, a bad car accident, or a pandemic, or even something as extreme as surviving the Holocaust. And even though the cause of trauma can vary wildly, typically the result is the same. It creates depression, a deep-rooted pain inside the person that corrodes them from the inside out, taking with it everything that they love and care about. Although there's a really good analogy on this. A man and a boy sit down by a fire. The man says to the boy, "There's a war raging within me, within you, and within every single one of us. This war is between two wolves. One is dark, vicious, aggressive, evil. Its name is depression. The other, loving, caring, courageous, hopeful. Its name is joy." The boy looks at the man and asks him, "Which wolf will win?" To which the man replies, "The one that you feed." Someone suffering through depression has this fight every single day, except they tend to feed the wolf that's evil and mean. And in the process, they destroy who they are inside. Although it doesn't help that our society's advice around depression tends to be things such as, "Get over it, you're fine, you're overreacting." People urge depressed people to simply be happy, although that's simply not possible most of the time. The reason for that is that emotions exist on a scale. Depression is down here at the bottom and joy is up at the top. And between these two, there are 26 different emotions. So how can we help someone who's depressed start reaching for better emotions? Well, we simply need to encourage them to reach for the best emotion that they can right now. And that might be anger. That might be sadness. Maybe pessimism. Or even frustration. And you might be thinking to yourself, "Eric, these are all really negative emotions." Although think of how far we've come. From depression to mere frustration. What if we continue to climb that ladder? What if we started to reach for things like optimism, positivity, or even pure joy? It reminds me a lot of an analogy that's in the book called the grand staircase. And at the top of the staircase exists the absolute best version of yourself. The version of you that's 1 year away, 5 years away, 10 years away. The version of you that has it all figured out. And right now, we're at the bottom. And every time that we do something, and we show up for ourselves, regardless if we succeed or if we fail, we take one step up that staircase towards the best version of ourselves. The only time we ever take a step down is when we fail to show up for ourselves. And it can be really scary to climb these stairs. In fact, I'd say there's going to be more days than not where you're terrified and you want to do nothing. Although the mark of courage doesn't come from not being afraid. It comes from being afraid and deciding to act anyways. Teddy Roosevelt said it best. In order to create a better you, you simply have to push past your fears. If you can push past your fears daily, only then will you be able to create a free version of yourself. And beyond that, there's going to be times where you look around and you see people who are way further ahead of you. You're going to look around and you're going to judge yourself and you're going to think that you're not far enough along up your staircase. Although life is like a bag of popcorn. When you put that bag into the microwave, some kernels pop right away. Others take more time. It doesn't mean that they're not going to pop. You simply have to keep trying, keep taking steps towards climbing the top of that staircase. And I urge you to think about what it'll look like one day when you finally do reach the top and you get to inspire others to climb up with you. I could tell you personally that this terrifies me. Although I know I have to do it to climb up my staircase. And there's going to be a lot of things along the way that scare you. There's going to be a lot of things you might not want to do. And those are the most important things you could ever do. The second most important thing is realizing that you're making progress. Sometimes it's hard to see progress, although one day you'll look in the mirror and you'll be there. So I leave you with just one question. If you're on the staircase right now climbing towards the top, what are you going to do about it? Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.